Welcome to Wide World of News. I'm Mark Halperin. We're going to talk business and politics today with someone who's in a pretty unusual position. Jay King joins us out from in California, where he is the president and CEO of the California Black Chamber of Commerce. And he has been for many decades and still is one of the lead singers for the band Club Nouveau. He's a Grammy Award winner. He's going to help us understand what's going on in a state where 1 in every 7 Americans live. Jay King, welcome to Wide World of News.
Thank you so much, Mark. Glad to be here.
So you represent African-American owned businesses all over the state of California. How many members do you have, and how have they fared during the economic crisis caused by the pandemic?
About 4,700 members. And, it's been devastating to our community because we were already in peril. We were already in a tough situation. 95% of African-American small businesses are sole proprietors.
So what has life been like for your members? Are many of them gone out of business? Or have they taken the government loans? How has your membership fared overall?
They've struggled. A lot of them didn't qualify because a lot of the criterion they didn't meet. What's interesting about this whole program to me, though, was that the Black Caucus was at the table when they were splitting up $2.2 trillion. And out of the $2.2 trillion, what the Black Caucus shored up for Black businesses was $10 million in grant money for 2.6 million African-American small businesses nationwide, which meant that if they got even money, equal money, they would all get less than $4.
How do you think, given you've got a Speaker of the House who's a Democrat, how do you think that happened?
It tells you what's important. Politics is more important than people. Politics is more important than business. And so, in my opinion, and it's just my personal opinion, I would never let anyone talk to me about my community that's not my community. And Nancy Pelosi told the Black Caucus not to speak to the president of the United States, Donald Trump, when they should have been front and center, making sure from the beginning, from him becoming president, that we had a conversation in our community with the president, and a president, to me, that was more apt to probably making changes that another president wouldn't have been, just because he's not bought into the political process and he doesn't have to pay debts back to people.
Tell me what makes you optimistic about the economy here in the short and medium term. Anything?
Well, yeah, listen, we have a market. Nobody thought our market could ever get to 3.5, let alone the 4.0, the GDP. Donald Trump did some interesting things that we can't run away from. And because I'm in the stock market, I'm an investor. And so the issue in my community is financial literacy. So we have to have Black leadership that talk about financial literacy. That should be our number one concern, is financial literacy. If we were more financially literate, we'd change 100 years in 10. So when I look at the economy, and I look at, even with the coronavirus and all these things that's hitting us, we still have an economy that's moving. So some people will say that the government is propping it up. So I say, good for the government that is smart enough to know that, it's like anything else. Sometimes if you got a stick shift car, sometimes you got to push it along before it catches the gear and it can take off. Well, I believe that's what we're doing here. We have to make sure that Black folk are more involved in the restarting of this economy. So I think this is a great restart for us.
You were a supporter of the president 4 years ago. You plan to vote for him again. Do you have any of the reservations that many Americans, including many Black Americans, do about how he's handled things over the last few weeks with the protests out in the street and a lot of racial tension in the country?
I absolutely issue with some of the things he says and does. I had a lot of issues with what Barack Obama said and did. I think Donald Trump, if he's not a bigot and racist, then he shouldn't act like one. He shouldn't do things that are racially incendiary. I think that he has the power, and I think the muscle to literally change even those Americans that are separatists, if you will, or are about white power. He literally has the power to say, hey, you get the right to think like that, but we have to still come together as an America. I think if he had people in his ear to talk about real issues with real people in real communities, and not let the Black political base speak for us, because they don't. Black leadership has failed us in every step of the way. So I don't march to the same beat as most Black leadership. Now I'm gonna tell you why I voted for Donald Trump. Because there was no way I could vote for Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was more criminal to my community than Donald Trump could have ever been. And I believe that Hillary Clinton would have punished my community for Barack Obama being elected and for the Black leadership bypassing her and supporting Barack Obama and the community supporting Barack Obama. I believe that she felt like she owned the Black vote. It was hers. And how dare you go against me? And Donald Trump was my only choice. If there was a better choice for me, I might have gone for it. But Donald Trump was my better choice. Now, when I look at Joe Biden, listen, Joe Biden didn't just participate in the crime bill. He authored it, and then he bragged about it. And he said every crime bill that's ever been written, you see Joe Biden in the middle of it. Whether you like it or not, Donald Trump dismantled the crime bill. He dismantled it. And so Black folk have to stop letting the media be the driver of what we think. And we have to start letting facts. It doesn't mean that we're going to agree with Donald Trump. It don't mean that we're going to love everything he does and says. But what it does mean is he's done more to help the Black community than the president before him.
Let me ask you a question that I've heard a lot of people raise of all races in the last few days, which is why is there much less reaction in the African-American community to Black on Black crime than there is to the horrible instances of a white police officer killing an African-American?
Well, because a white police officer or any police officer is hired to serve and protect our community, not to be an exacerbator of crime, but to be a deterrent of crime. So in that respect, I agree, law enforcement has to be overhauled because we have racist and bigoted ideas that police have about Black people. Now, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know because I sit on the police commission in Sacramento and have had these kind of conversations, candid conversations with not just police officers, but captains and sergeants who said that a bigger, Blacker person is more frightening to them than a lighter skinned person. So to be honest enough to have that conversation, and it's because of the narrative of Black folk that's been painted in this country for years and years and years. So that's why you get that kind of reaction. However, when I look at the Black Lives Matter movement, for me, the reason why I don't support Black Lives Matter is because, to me, Black lives have to matter when Black people kill each other. The same way when a white police officer killed us, especially when Black people kill each other. So I would support Black Lives Matter if I believe that Black lives matter to them. But I don't believe Black lives matter to them. I believe agenda matters to them. And what they do is they use Black lives to push their agenda because it is emotional enough. And oftentimes Black folk, we are driven by emotion versus pragmatism and critical thinking.
What would you say is the best thing that's happened so far coming out of the tragic death of George Floyd?
You see young people saying this, we're not going to stand for this. Not young Black people, not young white people, not young red, but young people. For the first time in the history of this country, America is saying, nah, that way of thinking is old, it's antiquated, and we can't think like that anymore. Not if we're going to make America great for once. See, I say we have to make America great for once. And the way we're going to make America great for once is when we all have the same equal justice system across the board. You know, everybody's mess is going to be out on the table. So this isn't just a problem that white people have. We got some issues in the Black community too. So if everybody's willing to be honest enough to call out their own idiosyncrasies and say, I got to become better as a human being. I got to become better as humanity. America's the greatest country in the world. We're the most diverse country that exists on the planet, where you have different cultures, different ideas, different thought processes. It's just a beautifully colored country. But we have to say, let's do better. Let's become better human beings when it comes to us trying to understand each other.
All right, Jay King, that's a lovely way to end. So I'm going to stop there. Jay King is the head of the California Black Chamber of Commerce. He's a Grammy Award winner, and he is a student, not of just American politics, but of America. Jay King, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. We'll be back here again soon with another edition of Wide World of News.